Hi, so welcome back to our final Continental Classic roundup of the entire year. The Continental Classic, we are in our final week 5, and we had our final group stage matches and then went on to the semi-finals and the final World's End pay-per-view this past Saturday. A lot to cover here, so let's get started. So, our first match to cover was in the Blue League on our Dynamite on 34th Street, taking place on Christmas Eve. This was between joint leader at the time, Konosuke Takeshita versus Orange Cassidy. This match was really good, as you expect from both guys. Cassidy proven a tricky opponent and very aggressive compared to his usual behaviour against Konosuke Takeshita. Takeshita, however, being able to overcome said tricky obstacle and honestly, Takeshita, without any shock, became the first qualified for the semi-final of the Continental Classic. Quite a big deal for Konosuke Takeshita. My favourite to go into the tournament, and very impressive match, making Takeshita again the leader and the first semi-finalist of the entire tournament. Great match. After this, we had our second match in the Blue League on the Dynamite on 34th Street between the only Continental Classic member on the entire tournament on 0 points at this point, being Roderick Strong, versus the CMLL representation, Mascara Dorada. This match was quite a great show-off for both guys, specifically for Mascara Dorada. His agility being that to overpower Roderick Strong, unfortunately. Mascara Dorada getting the big win against Roderick Strong. A tough opponent to come over, regardless of what his statistics say in this tournament. And Mascara Dorada moving up to 6 points. Huge deal for the Luchador. And Roderick Strong still staying on 0 points. Now, our final match on Dynamite on 34th Street was Jack Perry versus Pac in the Gold League. Now, this was a big deal because everyone in the Gold League on this point was on 6 points besides Jack Perry. And Jack Perry was a late entrant replacing Darby Allin, as we previously mentioned numerous times. Now, this match was phenomenal. It really was a great show for Jack Perry, improving again. The guy is more than worthy being in such a high-level tournament. Pac being a great opponent for the guy. Both guys looked excellent. This is one of the greater matches of the C2. As the other two were, but this one specifically stood out to me. I really enjoyed this. I feel like Jack Perry looks better and better each match he's had. I feel like it's a great addition. I feel like it's sad we didn't get Jack Perry from the beginning, but hey-ho. But the guy does very well, and getting the upset win over Pac, creating a 6-way full tie throughout the Gold League at this point in time. Huge deal. And this going into the final night of the Continental Classic group stage was huge, because Jack Perry, it was very unexpected, and Pac could have went through with this alone. So this was a big deal, and the fact that Pac was livid, Pac was clearly distraught, Perry deserved the win and made things so interesting. This is a great way to lead into our Christmas Day collision. So, in our first match of Christmas Collision was in the Gold League, the 6-way tie, as we previously said. Now, we had Jack Perry going against Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher being one of the true standouts of the tournament, having, in my opinion, both matches in the tournament contenders at this point in time, against Jack Perry, who's also shown out in every match he's had. This is no exception for both guys. This is one of the greater matches of the tournament. This was truly a phenomenal match. And with the stakes being so tight and high as they were, they had to deliver, and they really smashed it out the park. I thought Jack Perry was a great opponent for Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher's ego being, again, a big thing in the believe in his own hype. The hitting and the agility and everything about Jack Perry will not, frankly, go away from Kyle. And this caused a huge win for Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher forcefully locking himself in, so to speak, to get the win over Jack Perry, making Jack Perry stay on 6 points for the final group stage. Kyle Fletcher being the first one of the Gold League to qualify, being a big deal. So there are only two qualifies, however you say it. Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita, Proto Shita, are both in the semi-finals. Huge deal. Both guys fully deserve it, and this was, again, truly a great match. So, our second match of the night on Christmas Collision was in the Blue League of the Continental Classic, where Konosuke Takeshita takes place again, who's the first qualified member of the entire tournament, going against the CMLL rep, Mascara Dorada. Now, Takeshita previously said has always been qualified, and Dorada has still had a chance to qualify, having the chance to go to 9 points. Now, this match was not the first time these two have faced off, showing a good amount of respect, shaking hands but the match was phenomenal. Both guys showing insane agility, insane strength, and honestly, such experience and such a great mesh of styles from New Japan and DDT member, obviously, on AEW, Konosuke Takeshita, and CMLL rep, Mascara Dorada. Mascara Dorada did a very impressive show out, but was not enough to take over Big Match Takeshita, essentially, and the guy unfortunately lost to Takeshita. Takeshita got 13 points and being one of the only people, well, the first person ever in the entire Continental Classic, mind you, to go through the entire tournament on the group stage unbeaten. Huge achievement for a phenomenal year for the Alpha, and he is still he is the leader of the Blue League regardless what happens. Now, our next match on Christmas Collision was also in the Blue League, where joint leader before Takeshita's match, Claudio Castagnoli, was on 7 points, looking to further his lead to qualify. If he wins, he automatically qualifies against the supposedly easy layup against the 0 points Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong got a little visit from his longtime friend and the guy who replaced in the Continental Classic before even it was announced, Kyle O'Reilly. Kyle O'Reilly gives Roddy a great pep talk, really firing Roddy up to go against Claudio Castagnoli, as the two of them have a history. And Roderick Strong looks phenomenal. He looks so fired up, forcing a match. The match wasn't too long, one of the shorter matches of the Continental Classic. But Roderick Strong gives it all 110%. And Roderick Strong gets the win. His first and only 3 points over Claudio Castagnoli in the Blue League. A massive upset win, and a massive win in general for the entire Blue League. This means Moxley and Orange Cassidy, whoever wins, goes through. And that's a huge deal. Claudio Castagnoli falling short at the final minute is a huge deal. And Orange Cassidy having the chance to go through alongside Jon Moxley because of his quote-unquote stablemate in Roderick Strong. Huge deal. And for Roderick Strong to get 3 points on the board was insane. And how the circumstances lined up for him, really good achievement for Roderick Strong. And again, huge shake-up in the Blue League towards the final dying matches. Our next match was also on Christmas Collision as expected between the Gold League members, Pac and Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight having a shock tournament and pressing near enough every single person in the Continental Classic, and Pac being one of the most experienced guys on the entire roster and such a high level too. Now, this match was end-to-end insane. Pac's experience proving a lot for Kevin Knight, but Kevin Knight's resilience is one to be marveled at. The guy was consistently kicking out. The guy would not give in, and that's what basically carried through this match. The guy's spirit is one to just be applauded. Pac's experience, Pac's Black Arrow was not enough. A legendary move like the Black Arrow was not enough to take Kevin Knight out, and that should be more than respected. Phenomenal from Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight doesn't go out down quietly. The guy does hit his UFO, his coast-to-coast, stuff like that. And the high-flying nature of both guys earns a respectful finish and a shock draw in the Gold League. Both guys unable to qualify if there's a win. And in the last match in the Gold League, and that is huge. Either guy won, they would have qualified for the semi-finals, and they drawn. It was a respectable and it's a big result for Kevin Knight. A huge result for such a, frankly, rookie to go against someone as legendary as Pac. And for it to get a draw and have one of the most impressive tournament runs out of anyone in the roster is a huge deal. Again, they show a small sign of respect between each other, as Pac does look devastated in the finish. Huge deal, huge upset, and this puts, again, more pressure on our final Gold League match later to come tonight. So, our final group stage match of the Blue League was, again, between Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy. No short of history between these two guys. A lot of history, a long-standing rivalry, and a long-standing legacy of phenomenal matches between these two. And this one is not one to kind of scoff at either. It is a phenomenal match. Both guys, again, Jon Moxley specifically showing that resilience, showing his proof. The guy was fired up. He was willing to leave it all out in the ring. So was Cassidy, but Moxley truly wanted it more. Again, Cassidy does attack Moxley's ankle as expected, but Moxley will not give in, as previously seen by a lot of people. And again, proven by Kyle O'Reilly, Orange Cassidy's stablemate in the conglomeration. But unfortunately, that was not enough. Orange Cassidy gets roller pinned by Jon Moxley. And Jon Moxley qualifies in the shock win, in my opinion, to qualify for the semi-finals of the Continental Classic. So the Blue League qualifying members are Konosuke Takeshita in first and Jon Moxley in second. Again, this match was phenomenal. This match was a great end to the Blue League on TV, and everyone in the entire tournament and entire Blue League should be proud of their run. And this match was a great way to cap it off on Christmas Collision. So our final match of the entire group stage was down to the wire in the Gold League between current Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada versus Speedball Mike Bailey. Both on 6 points as you expect in the Gold League at this point. And this match is truly one of the matches of the tournament. A repeat of their match from a while back, and frankly, living up to that expectation. This was one of my favourite matches of the tournament, joining another Speedball Mike Bailey match against a Don Callis family member. And this match, again, was Okada's entire philosophy just incarnate. Speedball constant pressing Okada. Okada's emotion and just calmness, laid back nature, giving him an advantage in this match. This match having Speedball basically have a lot of advantage, but for Okada to get the shock roll-up win on Speedball was truly a sign of experience and legacy, and why Okada is considered the greatest tournament wrestler of all time. This was a huge win for Okada, qualifying, making 3 Don Callis family members in the World's End Continental Classic semi-finals. Speedball Mike Bailey obviously looks distraught. The match was in his grasp, but Okada does not care as he smiles on with glee. So, as we end our group stage tournaments, we will go through our group stage and standings, what it left on. So in our Gold League, we had Speedball Mike Bailey on 6 points. We had Jungle Jack Perry on 6 points. We had Pac and Kevin Knight both joint on 7 points. And we had qualifying members of the Don Callis family, the current Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada and Kyle Fletcher, the Protostar, both on 9 points. Big ending to the Gold League, and entertaining as expected. As we go further on in our final standings of the group stages, we'll go over the Blue League right now. We had in last place the Blue League, Roderick Strong on 3 points with the shock win over Claudio Castagnoli. We had Orange Cassidy and Mascara Dorada both joint on 6 points. We had Claudio Castagnoli ending on 7 points in the upset for a lot of people. Then we had qualifying members John Moxley, who sat on 9 points, and we had Konosuke Takeshita, who finished the tournament on the group stage on 13 points. Huge for the Alpha. Now, this was a great group stage for the tournament. Everyone should be proud of the matches. We got some phenomenal matches of the year contenders in that match. But our semi-finals await in World's End, and we had some most anticipated matches. We had one of the most anticipated matches in all of wrestling to take place. We had Don Callis family members Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita finally be able to settle their rising tension and their differences in the semi-final and World's End, followed by our second semi-final of Kyle Fletcher versus John Moxley. Kyle Fletcher, the Protostar, trying to prove his merit and his eventual destiny he sees fit as a future AEW Men's World Champion against the record holder of said title in John Moxley. This was a great match and the first time ever, and such a big deal for AEW going forward. This could be truly a passing of the torch moment. So our first match to go over in World's End was our first semi-final between Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada. This match was a very heated bout between both guys. Again, both rising tension in the Don Callis family. Don Callis himself, the leader of the faction, does not really want to go into this entire situation on commentary, but it's clear to everyone to see that there is rising tension. Kazuchika Okada still lacking and denying to show Takeshita respect, showing multiple disrespectful pins, flipping him off right directly to his face. This fires Takeshita up, making him fire a lot of heavy elbows, a lot of heavy kicks, and even his finisher, the burning arrow, I think it's called. And for it to all mean nothing and disrespect the entire tournament, Kazuchika Okada, with the legacy he has of the greatest tournament wrestler of all time, goes against the entire morals and rules of the C2 and uses a supposed alleged cheating victory via a screwdriver hidden in the turnbuckle. This is a huge upset. Kazuchika Okada getting the win and attacking Takeshita with said screwdriver. Don Callis seeming to ignore Takeshita as much as he wants to praise Okada on the exit, and Takeshita looks bewildered, disrespected, and betrayed. This is a huge upset. and a hugely discouraging win, in my opinion. I think Konosuke Takeshita was ridiculously unlucky to not go through here, but this is the nature of the Continental Classic and how desperate people are to win it. Konosuke Takeshita goes out in the semi-finals of World's End. That is the favourite for a lot of people, exiting the tournament so early. But Kazuchika Okada proven his legacy as the greatest tournament wrestler of all time, solidifying his place in the final of the Continental Classic yet again. Now, for the first time ever, we have Kyle Fletcher versus Jon Moxley as the other AEW Continental Classic semi-final. This is truly one of the best matches of the Continental Classic, one of the best matches of the entire year, frankly. Possibly, I would say, the match of the tournament overall. I really would. And Kyle Fletcher, again, proving that he believes his own hype, proving that he has an ego and will go to any extent to show that he believes he is ready to go forward in his destiny of becoming a true all-time great for AEW and all of wrestling. However, for Kyle Fletcher, he's never faced someone like Jon Moxley, someone so resilient, someone so brutal, frankly, and someone who will never, ever quit from this point on. Jon Moxley's previous history of quitting and tapping out to the likes of Kyle O'Reilly, as previously mentioned, has proven to affect the former champion in a lot of ways, including this match where his resilience is clearly on show as Kyle continuously attacks the ankle to no avail as Jon Moxley gets a shock win over Kyle Fletcher as Kyle Fletcher seemingly goes to look for the same screwdriver that Kazuchika Okada used against Konosuke Takeshita in our previous semi-final. Jon Moxley seeming to take advantage of Kyle Fletcher's distracted nature of why the screwdriver was not there and getting a win to his ridiculous applause. The guy is ridiculously thrilled to go through to the final of the Continental Classic. Kyle Fletcher going out, a shock for a lot of people, and the guy had a phenomenal tournament. Again, 3 of his matches to me, but all matches of the tournament, and this probably solidifying the number 1 spot. Phenomenal match by both men. So that is solidified. Our final for the Continental Classic in 2025 was Kazuchika Okada versus Jon Moxley, 1v1 for the first time ever. Huge deal. Both men are interviewed backstage just before the final. Don Callis and Kazuchika Okada promised to make Jon Moxley pay for giving Don Callis a scar 3 years ago, and Jon Moxley being told by Kazuchika Okada himself that he will never beat him and he is never on his level. Jon Moxley responds to this saying Jon Moxley is willing to die on the hill, as the Continental Classic to him is a beautiful thing to prove why all his hard work and why he is the best and deserving to be at the top, and telling Kazuchika Okada pretty much straight he will have to kill him to take this away from him. Ridiculously great promo from Jon Moxley. So, as our Continental Classic final takes place between the first time ever between these two gentlemen, the match is a slow, very technical match between both guys. Very mix of styles between one of the greatest New Japan wrestlers of all time versus one of the greatest American champions of all time. The match is very slow, very weighty, and both guys prove why they have been on the top for so many years. It's great to see a match between two excellent and experienced wrestlers of this level and caliber. I believe the match was a great show out for Jon Moxley's resilience, yes again, as winning over the crowd was a shock for a lot of people in this match. But Kazuchika Okada going for a low blow against Jon Moxley, distracting him, then going to grab the belt to try and get Jon Moxley to be injured on that. And then as Jon Moxley is able to take advantage of this situation, gives Okada a low blow himself, proving that, again, Kazuchika Okada has never messed with a man as driven as Jon Moxley. Our match concludes with a hugely resilient and deserved win, frankly, from Jon Moxley, our winner of the tournament, the entire, in a clean, debatably clean way against Kazuchika Okada via a stomp and a Death Rider, as very, very commonplace for the Death Rider leader. Jon Moxley has officially become our AEW new Continental Champion, the winner of the C2 in 2025, a much deserved win, a very big underdog win for a guy like Jon Moxley, surprisingly. And the guy takes the mic, thanks everyone, dedicates his win to his teammates, the fans of AEW, and everyone in the Continental Classic, as he is proud and respectful to everyone who's went through this entire tournament, showing him week in, week out why this tournament is one of the best tournaments around in all of wrestling. I believe this is the best Continental Classic we've ever had. I believe this has some of the best matches of the year. Specifically, the 3 matches I want to really shout out are Jon Moxley versus Kyle Fletcher. I think Jon Moxley versus Speedball Mike Bailey And I also would like to shout out Kevin Knight versus Jon Moxley. I think every single person in the Continental Classic should be proud, and we've had one of a phenomenal Continental Classic season via AEW. All the wrestlers have completely shown out, and Jon Moxley are deserving winner through his final and semi-final showing specifically. I hope you all enjoyed the Continental Classic as much as me. This has been a great way to cover and a great way to talk about the Continental Classic this year. I would love to know what your opinion is on your favourite match of the Continental Classic, what you thought of Jon Moxley winning, and also, who do you think was the MVP of the tournament? I feel like my answers to this are Kyle Fletcher versus Jon Moxley for match of the tournament. I would like to say that quite clearly. I think my MVP of the tournament, regardless of Jon Moxley, has truly got to be Kevin Knight. I think the guy was phenomenal this tournament. But also, I want to give a big shout out to Kyle Fletcher, because Kyle Fletcher's expectation was higher than Kevin Knight, but the guy proves why he is truly one of the best in the world. Again, it has been a pleasure to talk and recap to anyone who has caught these videos during the Continental Classic season, and I hope it's been a very big help to you all. I hope you all take care. Until next time, I hope you get to continue enjoying professional wrestling as much as we all do.